Thank you, Valen. Now, as South Africa prepares for local government elections, the South African Local Government Association is calling for a review of how municipalities are funded. They say the current allocations simply aren't enough to support service delivery. Salga says changes must include better funding and solutions suited to the varying capacities of local municipalities. Salga President Bheke Stofile joins me now. Good morning to you and welcome to the program. Thank you very much for making time for us. We appreciate it, Bheke. I want to start off with this, and that is the call that you're making for more funding for Salga. You say municipalities are delivering nearly half of all public services, but only receive 10% of national funding. So funding is a problem. Why?
Greetings to you and your listeners, and thank you very much for having us. I think this starts from the time in which we conceptualized local government system in South Africa in 90s, up to a point where we adopted the white paper in 1998, and assumptions made there is that the economy will grow and households will be able to pay for services. And unfortunately, what it has then seen to be accurately correct is that households are experiencing difficulties. And then the 10% or 9.5%, it was on the basis of that there would be ability to pay, and the municipalities would be able to generate their self-funding in the process. And we are then saying, in the process of review and relook of or repositioning of local government, it is important that in that relook, you need to relook in the manner in which you allocate funding into local government, because the expectation from the Constitution is that local government will perform 46% of the functions that are performed by government generally. And then this put more weight and more demand from local government.
I think it's an important scene setter, Bheke, for the following reason is how much of the failure that we are seeing in municipalities. I've got a whole list here, a litany of municipalities that have, that have failed for one reason or another based on the AG's report. You would know that better than most of us. How much is it about money and the allocation of money, and how much is it about leadership or lack of leadership, a lack of skills and a lack of accountability?
It's informed by a number of issues, as I've said earlier on. Yes, one of the issues is a lack of skill, capacity, and which we have been investing over a period of time. The skilling, capacitating of local government practitioners so that they are able to spend the money. But as you do that, you must also be realistic that you can skill them, capacitate them, but if they don't have financial instrument to perform the task, it doesn't help. That's one issue. The second issue is that, as we said in the State of the Nation address, responding to President Ramaphosa's State of the Nation, we said, one of the biggest issues that the political parties themselves, they must do, they must help local government to cut the invisible hand. Because what is seen to be a failure of individual lack of spending and lack of things, it's because it's informed by what I term an invisible hand that wish to see a particular thing to be done by an X or Y. Who is that X and Y is not in the local government? We must cut that. And as we cut that, we'll then see improvement on the service delivery.
Okay, talk to me more about this invisible hand. What intelligence do you have to back up what you're saying? In other words, if this is a trend, if this is a recurring problem, the South African public needs to know more.
I think you already know more, because you have seen in Madlanga Commission what is appearing and what is coming out. And if it happens at that level, as it has been disclosed in Madlanga Commission, how much more in local government?
I think you should spell it out for us. I mean, we can make assumptions about which part of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry you're referring to. In my mind, I think, well, maybe you're referring to Ekurhuleni and the allegations around, the provision of blue lights for certain individuals. We're talking about, of course, the allegations leveled against Kat Matlala, what the officials there from the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department have potentially been up to. What's in your mind when you talk about this invisible hand?
But the invisible hand, it takes different forms. For instance, in the municipality, we accepted that the municipality must then, through tender processes, put out a tender, and that tender or individuals that are tending, they happen not to have capacity. And because the outside individuals that influence the inside politics direct who should be awarded the tender. And that is the reality of the matter. And if we don't cut that part of the over-politicization and in terms of running the program of municipality, you may then see that as an incapacity. Because what is not appearing in the public, as I'm saying now, that the influence from outside in terms of what needs to happen is going to be negatively affecting the service delivery into municipal system.
Bheke, here's the issue. I mean, if you're being reticent about it, which it sounds like you are, this is a point where, and we've reached a moment in South Africa where we need names, we need individuals to be held to, account. We need the public to see that there is a show of force, essentially, in correcting what has been, wrongdoing in various municipalities. I mean, if you look at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, which you invoked, it's only a couple of months old. What we're talking about relates to institutional rot that should have been rooted out a long time ago.
Very correct. It takes a stand to root out the institutional rot. And what we are seeing, it's a stand that has been taken to take a rot in the institution. What we are saying is that if you look into local government system in the Republic, there are those that are sent into a municipality to perform tasks, either being councillors or either being administrators that are expected to perform the duties that they're supposed to perform. Look the way in which they arrive to council. Councillors arrive to council because it's informed by a political party. Administrators arrive to council because of the party decision. And that is one of the issues that you need to look at. And in that process, in the process of rendering service, then comes the matters that are not desired to come in the space. And that is the issue that unfortunately, we are not in the commission. If we were in the commission, we could have then elaborated. But what we have then said in Parliament, it is important that as we support local government, part of support local government is to cut the invisible hand. And I know we're talking to people that they know what we're talking about, which they are active players in the invisible hand in failing of municipalities.
So will Salga go to...
municipalities fail insofar as...
I'm so sorry, Bheke. I wanted to just extend that point around the commission. Is Salga asking to go to the commission? Have you approached the commission? Because they take people who say, we've got information that we believe you should hear.
No, remember, the commission is on the work of the police. It's not on the work of the local government. What I'm saying, what we have been saying in Parliament is that, which is now revealed in different forms in the commission, is that there is a tight hand that hamstrung municipalities to perform. And this tight hand is all known by everybody. And we need to cut that hand so that we relieve municipalities to perform the tasks and duties that they're supposed to perform.
Yeah, I mean, I was mentioning Madlanga only because this type of corruption that you're talking about, this invisible hand, is capacitated by people within the law enforcement complex, which is the subject matter of the day at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Okay, let's park that then for now. Because if, as you say, this is a historical issue, the tender processes are already taken over from, from the outset, and people who shouldn't be getting certain, jobs or shouldn't be receiving or landing those tenders are getting them. It's a tight hand. You've just said that you need to cut. What will change? Because while the funding issue is germane, people will say, well, corruption is already costing, whatever money is already on the table and has been given is already being lost to corruption. And some numbers I've got here around irregular expenditure, these are numbers that go into the billions of rands. So asking for more money, in other words, putting clean water in a already dirty cup is not going to make that water clean. It's going to make that water dirty. Same thing applies with the money. Put more money in there. It's just going to be more money that goes into those wrong hands. Wouldn't you agree?
The problem is to atomize the discussions, and you'll always go around the clock. If you want to review and be bold in changing the local government, it speaks on systems, it speaks on financials, it speaks on relations, because you need to go back into the manner in which local government was formed. And what we are then saying, you may do all what you want to do, but the rest of the matter, you are going still to experience the same issues. For instance, you can take municipalities that have been purported to have a clean audit. If you go to those municipalities in terms of sewer, water, and many other things, they're still experiencing them. It's because the way that we are approaching these issues of transformation, we box ourselves into a corner. What we are saying as local government is that if you want to change local government, you must do all these things. You must cut the invisible hand. You must properly fund the programs that local government is led, and you must capacitate and skill local government so that it independently performs the task that is expected out of it in terms of the Constitution. So we are saying that is why we even put this debate in the public domain during the response to President Ramaphosa's State of the Nation. It is the knowledge that, for instance, one of the issues that attracted to local government is the cost incurred with regard to trading services, water, electricity purchase, and which is the cost. Of course, labor cost, as you know that you are in the business, one of the major driving labor costs, it would be labor in the operational cost. So what I'm saying, you need, if you deal with local government, you need to deal with local government with a plethora of issues that involves a number of issues. Funding is one of them.
I mean, what you're saying doesn't give us very much cause for confidence, Bheke. You're talking about these entrenched networks that are robbing local municipalities of performing in the way that they should. You're asking for money to be able to deal with that very problem, but it doesn't sound as if it's possible. I mean, do you believe that hand can be cut? And by when? Otherwise, we're admitting defeat.
Okay, let's start here, madam. Probably you'll know. For me to be a councillor, I'm coming from a political party. For any councillor that is in council, is coming from political party. If a political party identify me and send me in council, it must also take responsibility that it will hold me accountable in the event that I cross the line. Probably that is what the ANC is talking about. And then we are saying, as you are talking about that, also talk about how do you then, as you intervene in the process of rendering service to communities, make financial resources available, because you may get and you have this information that there are problems, but these problems are not addressed, because why they're not addressed is because there is no financial muscle. I mean, you can go through different categories of municipalities throughout the country. You have a municipality, small as it is, it don't have an income, don't have money to render service, but is expected to render service, and the difficulties that they're facing, there's no services that are rendered. Now, it's not about taking a bold stand. It's about also taking a stand and responsibility that you intervene in situations of that nature.
All right, Bheke, Stofile, we're going to leave it there. a little bit disheartening because everything that you've shared with us now means, you know, people in places like Machabeng in the Free State will continue to experience the water challenge that they have. Kopanong, Mafube, Mangaung Metro. I mean, I can go on. Gauteng, Mfuleni, Johannesburg, Tshwane. If you look at KZN as well, so many, you know, municipal districts there, Ugu, Zululand. It's just disheartening, and again, it's in a local government and election year. We will have you back, Bheke, to talk as we go into this year to look at municipal governance, to look at some of the issues that you've raised this morning. But thank you very much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.